What's up everyone, it's United Weather here, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at the tropics where we now have two areas of interest to watch over the next week. We're going to be going over all the latest model guidance and forecasts from the National Hurricane Center so you guys know what to expect with these systems as they move closer to the country over the next week. So going ahead here and taking a look at the latest outlook this morning from the National Hurricane Center, you can see we do have two areas of development to watch, one marked in orange with a 40% chance of development over the next week, and then one other one marked in yellow just now coming off the coast of Africa, and that one only has a 20% chance of development over the next week. So the one we're going to be more focused on in today's video is this one with a 40% chance of development. It is expected to get close to the Caribbean islands probably sometime early next week, and that's when the system has the best chance to really ramp up its development. I would expect to see probably a weak tropical system, maybe a tropical storm, move to the Caribbean islands sometime early next week. So if you are anywhere in this area here marked in orange, or really in the general vicinity of this area, you definitely want to keep an eye on this storm as it continues to move west over this weekend. Now, in terms of this system here, just moving off the coast of Africa, notice how it's a little bit further north than this orange system. I'm going to say that there's a good chance this misses the Caribbean islands entirely and most likely curves out to sea. At least that's what the latest model guidance has been showing. However, this hasn't even formed yet, so the model guidance probably doesn't have that good of a handle on it. So we're gonna have to wait a little bit more before we get a definite answer on where this tropical wave is heading. But right now, if you're in the Caribbean islands, I would not pay too much attention to this, but just keep it in the back of your mind that after this first system moves through, you might get another one a few days right after that. So taking a look now at the latest model guidance here, this is the GFS model, and as we can see, not much to speak of right now in the tropics. You do have that little area of thunderstorms down there, right where our area of interest is marked by the National Hurricane Center. And if we continue to move forward here on the GFS model, this is Friday next week, so this would be September 6th. As you can see, the GFS just now starts to develop the system right when it's south of Cuba. Now keep in mind, this is only one model solution. There are other models out there other than the GFS model. And on top of that, the system hasn't even started, getting a proper circulation yet. So these models are not really going to have a good idea on what to expect until the actual tropical cyclone forms. So definitely keep that in mind when looking at these model outputs. And as you can see, a pretty weak system would be about a tropical depression, maybe a tropical storm at this time next Friday, according to the GFS. And if you continue to skip ahead here, you can see it kind of moves off to the north, and it does enter the Gulf of Mexico here as a pretty strong storm. This would be a Category 2 hurricane. This is probably one of the worst solutions we can get with this storm, is it getting anywhere near the Gulf of Mexico. And the reason for that is that the waters in the Gulf of Mexico right now are historically warm. Any storm that gets into the Gulf of Mexico with limited wind shear and this kind of bathtub of very, very above average water temperatures is going to probably rapidly intensify. I mean, there's really nothing saying that that's not going to happen. So again, if it does enter the Gulf of Mexico, that's really going to be the worst case scenario for the United States, and anywhere along the Gulf Coast could probably see a pretty strong hurricane. I'm not going to say anything just yet, but I would not be surprised to see a major hurricane make landfall on the Gulf Coast if it does enter the Gulf of Mexico. Now again, keep in mind, this is only one solution. It is still a week plus out, so I don't want to, make anyone panic just yet, but definitely something you want to watch if you live along the Gulf Coast. You want to keep an eye on this model guidance and make sure that it's trending away out of the Gulf Coast. Of course, areas on the East Coast, you guys are also in play right now. But again, I don't want to say anything too definite just yet. And if you go ahead and move forward here, you can see the GFS makes landfall as a 949 millibar hurricane right around Louisiana and Texas. And that would be around Category 3 hurricane strength. So again, anything that goes into the Gulf of Mexico, we're really going to want to keep an eye on. That's probably the worst case scenario for any of these tropical waves that are going to be moving off of Africa in the next few weeks. Thanks to that warm water and limited wind shear, there's really nothing to stop these storms from rapidly intensifying before they eventually make landfall somewhere along the Gulf Coast. Now, taking a look at another model output, this is the European model. You can notice it does develop the storm a little bit quicker than the GFS does. This is only on Monday compared to Friday from the GFS model. And you can see we have what looks to be a tropical system of some sort, whether it be a tropical depression or a tropical storm here approaching the Caribbean islands already by Monday. And if we go ahead and move forward here, you can see it kind of just meanders around. It doesn't really develop too much, and it does eventually end up in the Yucatan Peninsula as what looks to be a maybe very weak hurricane, strong tropical storm by the end of next weekend. Now, the European model does not go out as far as the GFS model does, so this is where the model run ends, but it's the same general idea as the GFS model, especially in the short term, that you're going to get a weak storm going through the Caribbean and eventually going somewhere towards the Gulf of Mexico and continuing to strengthen as we approach next weekend. Now, taking a look at the ensemble here, this is the GFS ensemble, and these are the spaghetti plots. Basically, these are all the storm tracks that the GFS ensemble seems possible. And as you can see, it does not really take this storm into the Gulf. At least the ensemble members don't. It kind of curves it up the East Coast, maybe. You can see up there some members even taking it into New England. You know what it looks like, North Carolina, basically riding the East Coast. Some also have it taking out to sea. But something interesting here on the ensembles is that you see that little area popping up there in the Gulf of Mexico. That is a separate system. So if that system develops in the Gulf of Mexico, we might also have something else to watch here as we go into next week. And that's what's been showing up on the ensembles lately. A third system developing in the Gulf of Mexico before the system moves into there. So we definitely want to watch that, because if that does happen, that could maybe prevent this system from entering the Gulf of Mexico. And that could be a scenario where we see this kind of turn out to sea or up the East Coast. So again, a lot of uncertainty with this as present on the ensembles here. And as you see, we have our third system here moving off of Africa. That also looks to be curving out to sea. Again, that's a little bit further north than this system is, so I'm not really expecting too much to happen with that, but you know, we're still pretty far out, so anything can happen. Now, also going ahead and taking a look at the European ensembles, this one is a little more concerning here. You can see how the system in the Gulf doesn't really develop as much, or most of the members don't develop it as much as the GFS ensembles were showing, and that allows the storm to enter the Gulf. You can see those kind of pink, maybe purplish red lines there. That is a category 2 or category 3 hurricane in the Gulf of Mexico. It also has some members to the east of Florida, eventually going up the East Coast, but majority of the members are somewhere around Florida, somewhere in the Gulf of Mexico. And again, that would be the worst case scenario, especially for the Gulf Coast. So you can still see that spread there. It could be anywhere, you know, from the Bahamas, Bermuda, all the way to the Yucatan Peninsula. That's basically the range of possibilities here on the ensemble members. And you can see that our third storm coming off of Africa, pretty much similar to the GFS model, kind of just spins out to sea. But just to give you guys an idea of what the ensembles are kind of thinking as of now, you can see that wide spread of possibilities there. So definitely a lot of uncertainty, as I mentioned earlier in the video. We do definitely want to be keeping an eye on the system as it moves to the west over the next few days. Now, with that being said, that is pretty much going to be it for today's weather forecast video. If you guys did enjoy the video and if you want to see more, remember to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It does help get my forecast out to more people and also motivates me to make more videos for you guys. So with that being said, I hope you guys have a great day. Stay safe and peace out.